Hey everybody, welcome or welcome back. My name is Leah Catherine, this is Leah Sees Movies, and we're back with the next episode of Castlevania. Last episode was like a little bit of a drop for me personally, at least for our heroes. Like Richter, Annette, Tara and Maria didn't do too much except possibly have a baby daddy reveal. But it was a very good episode for our villain slash potential like antagonist who kind of comes around to our side, Mizrak, which is, I just feel like that's the direction he's gonna go in. And of course, the scene stealer, Drolta. Like, she's so cool. She's so cool. Her character design is amazing. I'm a little obsessed with her. I feel like I've made it very obvious. Right now, it feels like we're still doing quite a lot of setup. We haven't even really seen Elizabeth Bathory like in action, besides that one FaceTime call between her and Drolta. So I'm curious, now that we're in like the second half of the season, if she's going to become a little bit more of an active character, or if she's kind of going to maintain that like ghostly King of the Fire Nation, just like we're going to get, you know, really dramatic shots of her in the background, but we're not going to approach her until later on. Because again, and I am making a lot of comparisons to the previous season, in the original Castlevania, season 1 was really just getting the gang all together and defeating the first horde of night demons at night creatures at Greshit? I want to say Greshit. And then the final episode is them being like, all right, we're off to kill Dracula. So it feels like if this is not, our gang is together, so I think maybe the next half of the season is going to be about potentially acquiring the alliance of Mizrak and Olrox, and then kind of gussying up their abilities, right? Annette has the power, but she has a hot temper. Richter needs to unlock his magical side again, overcome his trauma related to Olrox. Tara, I'm saying Tara, I meant Maria. Tara's also there, probably has a couple of secrets of her own that she has to share with the group. And Maria's, she seems nice. She doesn't quite have that fire that Sypha had. So it, like, as our main female like lead, I'm a little disappointed. But so I feel like there's still time to grow with her, right? Like there's definitely still space for her character and her powers to evolve. And I feel like that's what this season is going to be about. So I'm going to cut this one off here and keep this short. So let's get started. He's still running. Man hasn't looked back once. Doesn't even know if his friends are behind him. He said, be there or be square, it's up to you. I'm making jokes, but this is an extremely traumatic moment for him. Seeing his mother's killer. I do think it's interesting how they kind of juxtapose Annette's reaction to seeing her mother's killer, just like vengeful rage versus complete breakdown. And releasing, you know, about a decade of trauma. Oh, wow. There's a lot of deep, heaving sobbing on this series. This show is a healthy externalizing of emotion.
I'm not a nurse. It's deeper than I thought.
Yeah, did you see those claws? Gonna do some magic.
Ouch! And it's only worked once.
Oh.
You're brilliant.
Well, she only did one of them. There's still 3 other scratches y'all need to attend to. Oh. Morning, the Marquis. Who is not the blah. Ew.
I shudder to imagine what she's planning to do with it.
You have to appreciate that she really loved him.
I can't abide tears, Nikolai. Give her my condolences, will you?
Sorrows, prayers.
I always liked that I could see it from here.
The church.
When I first came to Moscow 17 years ago, I had nothing.
And I immediately got knocked up.
But I've never forgotten how much compassion they showed me at the Abbey. It felt like a safe place, a holy place.
How did someone who so genuinely loves the church raise such a, what's the word? Not atheistic.
Tell me you're not
Strictly antagonistic towards the church.
Come with me. Don't go. Please. I told Edouard come back for him.
You should have grabbed him the first time.
But we have to wait.
For what? To regroup? To devise a new plan? For the sun to rise? For Richter?
I don't have time to wait for Richter. Edouard doesn't have time. He's in chains.
You can understand why this would be a sensitive topic for her.
But if you go now, it's suicide.
Richter's coming back. And when he does, we'll find out what we can about Drolta and the night creatures. We need to understand our enemy to defeat them and to save Edouard.
It's like they're all permanently stuck in different stages of grief. And none of them are in acceptance.
I won't go inside.
Annette!
We'll need to understand our enemies to defeat them.
If you're going to spy on them, be sure to keep out of sight. If Richter was
Do
here...
you two wait for Richter before you do everything? He ran
I mean,
away.
that is a point.
Forgive him. Olrox is the vampire who killed his mother.
She's like, I saw the vampire that killed my mother 2 days ago.
All have nightmares. The first time a slave runs away, they're branded with this mark on their shoulder. Second time, they're hamstrung. Third time, killed. The people with this mark, they're the people who know intimately how much freedom can cost.
She said escaped slaves get it branded on their shoulders. So, oh, okay. So she just,
If I'd let my past terrify
she did it for her to make a point.
I'd never be free of it.
I do like that they're not like shirking away from the fact that Annette has a very different worldview. Do I agree with everything she's doing? No, I think she's being rash. But I like that it's so clear about like, all right, all this lollygagging and like, let's wait for, no. There's shit to do and I'm gonna go do it because I've already been through it. She has suffered in a way that they have not, even as overtaxed French peasants. Even then, magical French peasants. Oh. Damn. Do they like not like to eat the poor? Do they taste bad or?
I prefer my blood blue.
Yeah. Eat the rich, eat the rich.
Son of an old foe.
The soon-to-be dead son of an old foe.
He's like, that's kind of my kill, so if you could not.
But over here, we don't feed off the wealthy. The locals will start to grumble.
My apologies. I didn't realize how invested you are.
I do like that they just left them there like trash. Like, someone will find that rich guy.
We're in an uneasy alliance with the humans in this town. For now. It disgusts me too.
The sun will rise.
This is what a bad bitch link up looks like.
Once you get back to the chateau.
Where are you hanging out, Olrox? There we go. He's like, I got a little side piece. Don't worry about me. I've entertained myself.
The instant the sun comes up, some quality in the air changes.
We all feel it. It's dread. Imagine total freedom. Never shrinking from light.
I
Okay.
don't waste my time imagining things that...
So, if Bathory has somehow figured out daywalking, that would explain how she became the vampiric messiah. But how? Was she known for great magical talent?
Maybe I need to see the...
Or is she just a particularly gifted vampire?
She is very formidable.
Formidable, wonderful, a lioness. We've seen empires rise and fall, Olrox. Mortals are fickle. I was a priestess of Sekhmet.
Ooh,
The Egyptian
backstory.
goddess of war and vengeance. And now...
And now those temples are half buried in dust.
She's old. Like, old.
we endure. When that abbey in this town is in ruins, will we still be lurking in the shadows? Looking for feeble loyalties amongst the mortals?
I mean, I guess they do it for the money, but like,
Let's make a new
really,
one.
what is the benefit of aligning with the aristocracy? They can eat whoever they want. But I guess it's just like kind of notion of like, no matter how powerful we are, they outnumber us. So eventually, if they all team up, they could fight back. So you gotta keep the ants happy. Also, Annette is following them at a very close distance. Like, too close. Back it up. What are you gonna do? Save them? Girl? Oh, now she can mess up a... Now she knows how to pump a hole in a gate? I'm furious! She could have done that to begin with! Oh! Now here he is. He's still super creepy.
Presented you to me hours after
Nah, they definitely took some real notes from every creepy anime ever. The bulging eyes, the pupils pointing in slightly different directions. No, I'm so mad. Look at her absolutely trashing these gates, where beforehand...
I haven't forgotten the way you cower before the Christian God.
Heh. I like this disdain in her voice as she said Christian God. Like, oh, this one bothers you, okay.
I knew the sound your mother made when she died.
So do I heard it.
I'm sure
You gonna sizzle any
smell
either way.
burnt sugar in the back of your throat and forget you ever left. That's because you're not free where it matters.
We'll deal with my PTSD later.
Earth's a bit better.
You're not fit to say her name. How long were you a slave? 15 years? More?
And you signed up to be one, so...
Some people look backwards and forwards and all they see are slaves.
I love that she's just standing there as the sun rises. Ugh.
Should restore the world to its natural order. Immortals, kings, humans, peasants, slaves.
How can she do that? She's just a vampire.
Heh. Just.
She drank the blood of Sekhmet.
The Egyptian goddess.
Interesting.
Sekhmet is the daughter of Ra, a lioness.
What? So y'all are all loyal to Sekhmet, but cower at the Christian God?
With all of Sekhmet's power to restore all things, she will come with eternal night.
Ooh. It smells like bacon!
The sun is rising, devouring the darkness.
I love that she's not looking at him while he dies. Just enjoying the sunrise. Ugh. Now this is a gorgeous shot. They said we spent a lot of energy looking very, very creepy, so for once we're gonna just life. We're gonna make it beautiful, and we're gonna put that time and animation and detail into like watching the sunrise and this dandelion. That was amazing, except that she should have done that to free Edward yesterday. Well, kind of yesterday, like 6 hours ago from this current moment. Do you hear the people sing, singing the song of angry men?
Want to join us?
Your festival or your revolution?
Both.
You don't need me.
But they want you.
And you look as if you have some fight in you.
She said subtlety is for the lames. I'm ready to go. Oh.
Maybe I'm tired of fighting.
Bro's 18 and ready to retire.
Tara, please. I only came to talk. Please.
You hate him so bad and he's your daddy.
Are you hurt?
Why do you care? I'm gonna be honest. Maria is too smart to not be putting 1 and 1 together and getting 2.
You told me once that God had called your name. That he called you to fight evil.
I used to believe that, yes.
But now I fight the poor. They're real, they're real evil.
Maybe it's time they were toppled.
Of course, that sounds romantic. Like everything you revolutionaries tout. But once you've razed this country to the ground, I wonder who will be left to rebuild.
It's not the rich. They don't do anything. Like, just say you like living in a big fancy temple, bro.
Over 200 priests were massacred in Verdun. It won't be long before priests are exiled or put under the guillotine. The barbarians are at the gate. To them, no one will be true enough or loyal enough.
And it is not because we benefit from the caste system. It's because they hate God.
And fighting on the wrong side. With vampires.
I'm making the alliances I have to for now.
And then what?
How many times does the entire course of history come down to the choice of just one man? Constantine, Charlemagne, me.
Not to be egotistical or anything, but the entire arc of history depends on me.
You're not doing
Whatever would give you that idea? Me comparing myself to Constantine and Charlemagne?
I've often thought about Judas. But what would have happened if he hadn't done what he did? Was the whole world saved because of one man's betrayal?
He said, make me your villain. Every story needs one.
We wouldn't have Maria.
Shock! Gasp! Who could have predicted this? Me. I could have. It was...
You said my father was dead.
Now, girl. Maybe you haven't looked in a mirror. I get it. It's like 18th century France. But you didn't notice the resemblance. Like, standing them. I mean, they look a little related, so maybe that was the issue. But staring there, looking at them together, the truth was knocking and you were not answering the door.
How much for...
More than you've got, it looks like.
Yeah. This dang revolution, it's following me.
The man over there says put it on his tab.
Oh, okay. I genuinely thought that was about to be Old Rocks again, but I did forget it's the middle of the day. But then again, these vampires have just been walking around all day, all loosey-goosey, as long as they have an umbrella. Which I just don't know how much UV protection an 18th century cloth umbrella would afford, but...
Did they say anything?
They say go back to where you came from and don't expect another one.
Why does he look like a...
Favors.
Ooh. The dude from...
Where the fuck is the old man?
Ooh. Okay, well, we are definitely after dark then.
You swore the next time you saw my face in this village, you would kill me. Here's my face.
Whoo! Heyo! Not a Belmont? That makes sense. We need someone who knows what they're doing, because Richter is not it. Oh. I feel like they make the gore kind of funny in this show. Like, man spouting blood like a gusher.
If you can pay for your meals and carpentry.
What, vampire hunting wasn't good enough?
Give me that.
You should have taken better care of it.
Yeah.
I forgot how heavy that thing is.
So what are you, Grandpa? An uncle?
Hey! Hey!
He ran out of there and was like, hey, hey. He was a foot away. Like,
Who are you?
where'd he go? To the left, bro. Like, not that far.
I'm Just.
Just?
Just who?
Just Belmont. Your grandfather.
Ooh. And he looks great for his age. They said this show is for hot people only. I know, I'm ignoring a really shocking moment, but... All right, we're gonna start with our big triumphant moment. Annette killed Voltaire, Vladius, a V-name vampire who killed her mom. Y'all get it. So Annette had her little victory moment, but that victory moment also upset me because it was like, look how powerful she is. Look how much control she has. Look at the way she absolutely totaled this iron gate. Much like the iron gates holding Edward that she just didn't open. But like, if you don't think about that, it was a really satisfying moment. And again, I really like how they kind of juxtaposed the like horrible, violent death with her just like not even looking at him. And especially for someone who's kind of spent the last like 6 episodes, 5, whatever, what episode this is on? 5? For the last 5 episodes kind of just being like the epitome of rage and anger. So to go from that to just this really peaceful moment of like, I'm not gonna sit here and watch my main antagonist die. I'm not gonna watch him suffer and enjoy that. I'm gonna actually just enjoy this moment of peace that, yeah, his death is giving me, but also that the sun rises and the flowers grow and there's a beautiful river and like this is the natural order, is life and peace and sun and light. And that was just a really nice moment. Our second big reveal, I say big, Maria's daddy reveal. I mean, call me Maury. I feel like if they really wanted to hide it, they should have maybe done something a little, Like, maybe they should have made him like a brunette or something, or at least made him like entirely gray, so it wasn't just like, yeah, babe, that's his hair, that's your eyes, like, that's you. Like, if they'd maybe hid the family resemblance a wee bit. Granted, it wasn't really the family resemblance that gave away so much as her mom's familiarity with the church, and also his concern when he saw her there and protecting her life from Jolta. But maybe it would have made it a smidge less obvious. Like, throw in like a second similarly aged priestess so there'd be some confusion and it wasn't immediately like, yeah bro, the abbot's your dad. Obviously children can come to opinions on their own, completely separate from that of their parents. But being raised by someone who has so much faith in the church, it really is interesting to me that how deeply and viscerally she despises the abbot, like completely with no knowledge of like who he is as her father, just like what he stands for, who he represents, the way he talks to her, which in hindsight, there is kind of that, yeah, that like disappointed dad view where he was just like, oh, you're so young, I hope one day you get through this revolutionary phase because I know you can be better. And he was talking to her like that in like the first episode, and it was just like, okay, that's just kind of the like, you're all my children and you're a disappointment. But now it makes sense that this was a very literal, you are my child and you're a disappointment, I guess. Tara has poor taste. She must have like, she left Russia, met a nice sinful abbot or whatever he was back in the day, an abbot starter kit, an abbot intern. I don't really know what the hierarchy levels of the church are. I was only Catholic for like 8 years. She met a young church intern and just knocked up immediately. Like, didn't even give it he gave her 2 loaves of bread and she was like, that's enough. Busted open for the Lord. And all right, and so then shortly following that, we lead to our third reveal, which is Richter meeting his grandfather, his only, we can assume, living relation after his mother has passed away. It does, of course, now there's several questions, right? So if her dad was alive this whole time, why did she not send her son to her dad when her life was in danger, right? She clearly knew All Rocks was coming for her. Why did she send it to like a family friend, like, this is your aunt now? So there was some kind of falling out between her and her father. Obviously he passed the whip to her, not the Morning Star. They left that behind somewhere. I'm still stuck on that. But he passed the whip to her, she passed it to her, well, she didn't pass it to her husband, he picked it up off her corpse. And now we're gonna get that older, wiser, experienced Belmont, and I think that's kind of what the show is missing, and the show knows that that's what it was missing. So it makes complete sense. Like, it just felt right. Like, they're like, yes, this is his grandfather, and it wasn't even that I was like, oh, this is such an important moment for Richter. I was just like, yeah, for the plot. This is what we need. This is the experience we need, because right now we got a bunch of noobs, a bunch of amateurs who don't really know what they're doing. They just got spunk. So I like that. I think his granddad's in great shape. That's not really relevant, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So yeah, I feel like we're definitely gonna get some hot Belmont gossip about why he and his daughter parted ways and clearly were not in communication after she went to the New World. Doesn't seem like he's out there, you know, making a name for himself as a Belmont, but clearly he's still out here threatening and fighting vampires, and you know, he has the experience to back it up. I'm really curious to see like what he's been doing this whole time, because he clearly recognized Richter on sight. He sent him food, but when Richter came over just to say thank you to this random man, he was like, get away from me. So it's just, do you not want this kind of connection? Do you not want this weakness of your family? Because that's a little harsh. Especially if you're like, oh, I want to feed him, he's my grandson, but like, if he looks at me, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Or does he kind of just like, I'll never have to meet him, so it'll be fine. But is it a coincidence that they're in the same town now? I don't think so. I feel like he's probably been kind of keeping some sort of eye on his only living grandchild. So then the question is, of course, why is he staying away from him? And then finally, I have so many questions about this priestess of Sekhmet thing. So Drolta, which is not an Egyptian name, was a priestess of Sekhmet. And then Elizabeth Bathory, the reason she is the Messiah is because she drank from Sekhmet, who of course now that means is real. or is a god, or gods exist, which kind of does make sense in this world, considering that, and again, in the last Castlevania series, we saw hell multiple times and kind of witnessed the actual like physical incarnation of the concept of death. So yeah, multiple gods, I believe it. I'm rolling with you. I am confused though how not Drolta, the vampiric Sekhmet priestess, but a random Hungarian like royal came across this Egyptian god and drank of them and now has special abilities, which from kind of the dialogue and the way Drolta was doing the sales pitch to Olrox, it seems like that's gonna eventually include daywalking, but she didn't like flat out say, hey, she can daywalk, and if we're good, if we win, she'll bestow that gift upon us. It does seem like that's what Vladius thought was going to happen, but again, he did not explicitly say daywalking. He was talking about she has all these powers, she has all these abilities, she drank of Sekhmet, she will rise, she's our goddess. He did not say she will make us daywalkers and we shall rule the earth, which I feel like if you were a vampire, that would sell me, right? Like you're like, oh, I'm your new Christ, and you're like, I don't know if I believe in Christ, and you're like, you want to daywalk, and you're like, wait, I'm convinced. So, and if Elizabeth can daywalk, or Elizabeth, if she can daywalk, frankly, why even deal with all of this? Yeah, you can make deals, you can work with humans, you can, you know, it's always good to have an army of night creatures, but if she can daywalk, and if she could actually make other people daywalk, get to daywalking, start killing people. And we know that Drolta, yes, we know she can't, because when she stuck her hand in the sun last episode, she did in fact burn a bit. So that's her most loyal person. That's her number one. So if she had that ability, wouldn't she give it to her number one? Or is she still dangling it as a incentive? Also, can she do it at all herself, or is it again just a sales pitch? I'm really stuck on this daywalking thing, and I'm also really stuck on how a random Hungarian woman met a Egyptian god. I feel like like that story just leaves. There's so many holes in that plot, and I also don't get how if the vampires acknowledge and believe fervently in the existence of various types of gods and deities and these kind of entities, why do symbols of the Christian God work to repel them? Like, is it like, oh, if you were a vampire and you were raised as a Christian and then you believe in the cross, therefore the cross works on you, whereas if you were an Egyptian vampire, then maybe like an Ankh would be successful in, like, does the effectiveness of religious iconography depend on the religion of the vampire in question? Because this guy seems to fervently believe in Sekhmet, yet he was affected by crosses. And I need notes. I need the WikiHow on that. I don't get it. And yes, I want them to spend an entire episode explaining to me the religious beliefs of these vampires and how that affects them physically. Because that's a really interesting concept, and it doesn't rest well on my brain. It's not sliding into place the same way the granddaddy reveal did. So like, I got questions and I would like some answers. Thank you. Also, kind of unrelated, we have a Grandpa Belmont. How many generations is that away from Trevor and Sypha? And once again, is Alucard gonna come back? I let that slide for a few episodes. I'm trying to move on, but like, he's part vampire. There's literally no reason he has to be dead. It's been like what, 200 years? He can still be kicking. Maybe, and like, where has Grandpa Belmont been all this time? Perhaps in the Belmont hold / Dracula's castle in the city of Belmont that existed. I mean, not officially, I'm sure it's not on any Google Maps, but it was called Belmont. Like, there has to be some historical record of it. They built a town there. I also just really want the hold to come, the Belmont hold, what's it called? The basement. I feel like it has to, right? If you're bringing in an older, wiser figure to bestow his knowledge upon the youth, we got to bring him back to this callback to the prior series and to this fount of knowledge for the Belmont people. Maybe he has the Morning Star. But then again, if he had it, why would he give his daughter the whip but not the Morning Star? Was he like, no, I'll keep this one. Much too good for children. Like, So I feel like episode 3, I was just crying, I was emotional, I was in my moment. Episode 4, I was like having a good time with the villains, but was kind of meh. And now episode 5, I'm like, I have so many questions. They're like, we had all these big reveals, we had these nice moments, but the mythology of it is like really hooking me now. And I'm like, next episode, answer my questions. But there's only 6, 7, 8. There's only 3 episodes left. And there's the season 2. And season 1 of Castlevania regular ended very much on the cliffhanger of gotta go defeat the big bad. So I don't think we're gonna get answers to like any of my specific Erzsebet Bathory lore questions. I don't think we're gonna get answers to those. I think at best we're gonna go back to the Belmont Hold, we're gonna get our little training montage, and they're gonna defeat, that's a problem. I feel like they need to defeat someone at the end of this season, and I don't know who I want it to be, because I don't want it to be Ulrox. Keep him forever. I don't want it to be Drolta. She's sick. And I don't think we're gonna get Erzsebet. So I don't know what the win is. In Castlevania Season 1, it was defeating the Abbot and saving Grezit. In this one, I'm like, we killed the Marquis, we killed Annette's tragic backstory vampire, so what do we do now? There has to be a finale to this, and I can't figure out what it would look like. It's very frustrating for me. Well, I'm gonna end it on that anticlimax of me knowing nothing. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, comment, etc. All of those good things that make me very, very happy. If you don't want to do any of that, but you watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you. I still really, really appreciate you, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace!